Hi, I'm Dave Robinson, and welcome to another screencast where I'll be using R to analyze a dataset I've never seen before. As usual, the dataset comes from the Tidy Tuesday project run by the R for Data Science online learning community. So I'm going to be taking the newest dataset, bringing it into R and see what we can find about it. Turns out the new dataset is on French train delays. Alright, that sounds fun. Alright. Let's see, comes from the SNCF Open Data portal. I don't understand any French, so I'm gonna have a hard time looking at the other documentation for this. Oh, cool. They've started. They didn't used to provide these lines where I'll get to bring in the data set trains raw and small trains raw. So small trains is the small version. There's full trains. See, this is trains raw, but I think it means should be full trains. Okay, I'm gonna grab this. Okay, I'm going to be using fulltrains.csv. Yeah. Alright, so I go into RStudio, create an R Markdown. I load up library tidyverse. And I do full trains and I read it in from the GitHub repository. And here's my data set. All right, so we have 5,400 observations. Looks like it's by, it's by month and by, let's see what else I can find out about this, by station, year, month, by service. So maybe it's by month and by departure and arrival. Okay, like by train. So it's not every single trip, it's every single month what one particular route is. So if I counted, say one each year and month. Oh, I didn't run my tidyverse line. If I counted year and month and I say, in case sort equals true, it looks like we have between 130 and 100. So we have 112. I'm going to pipe this to view. I suspect we're going to see generally an increase in the amount of data we have. Oh, it's as simple as it's 112 routes until 2018 when it became 130. And we have data up through November 2018. Okay? And let's see. French trains. And saved. Okay, so that's the data that I have. I wonder if we have longitude and latitude. I wonder if we're going to be making a graph here. No, it doesn't look like it. All right, I meant if we're making a map. Probably not. So let's look at departure station. I counted, but I could have done distinct. Yeah, so it looks like Barcelona is one of the ones that was added only in 2018 in most recent data. We have departure, and I know that because it has only 11 observations. So I'm still getting a feel for how this tidy data is organized. It looks like it's mostly over time and by route. Okay. So I'm going to take another look at the full data. Most are national, some are international. Okay, and we have recognized some of these stations. Have been to Paris a couple times, but my knowledge of French geography is otherwise pretty weak. Number of trips, number of canceled trains, relatively small. Except, wow, look at that. We have a few. We have like 1 point where this one route had 22 out of 510 of its trains canceled. I'm going to actually sort by that. Wow. Really? 279 canceled trains? That's like, what is that? That's like a third of these, give or take? Like about a third of in April, a third of the trips were canceled? It's nuts. I wonder if we ever have any comment cancellations. I don't see any. Okay. Number that were late. The average delay for the ones that are late. I'm going to take a look at the, let's read through this. Let's see. Cancel trains. Number of trains delayed for the ones that are late, the average delay in minutes. The average delay for all of them, that means including the ones that weren't late. Okay. I wonder if we ever have any comments for delayed trains. No. Yeah, I've got these comment columns. Maybe there was a mistake in the... Maybe it was... presumably the comments were in French, but maybe there was some mistake where now it looks like they're always missing. Okay. Number arriving late. Some of them more than others. And here's delays on arrival, and yep, it's in French. It's not going to be very helpful for me. I'm not going to be able to get much from this. Yeah. This delay cause, internal cause, percentage breakdown for the cause for delay. Okay. Management, cause travelers, num greater than how many were more than 15 minutes late. Lots of, all right, this is really helpful. Lots of ways of looking at this. Okay, usually I'd pick one column to analyze first. I think let's start with late departures. We have three columns that involve late departure. It's the number late, the average delay for those that are late, the average delay across all departing trains. So I'm gonna, if I sorted average delay all departing, I see some negative values. I wonder if that means when trains left early, like the average train left early. Yeah, only a handful of such stations. This one, the average train left 4 or 5 minutes early. I would have hated to be on one of those trains. But mostly we have trains that are late on average. Okay, so I'm going to stop browsing through that. I'm going to start doing a couple histograms. So I'd start with, we're starting with histograms, but when I do a histogram, I don't want to aggregate across all time. I'd rather pick 1 month, often the most recent. I saw earlier the most recent month is, is November 2018. Okay, so I'm going to see. I'm going to histogram. I'm going to say ggplot for the average delay. I'm actually going to start with the percentage that were delayed. So I'm going to add a column called PCT percentage late at departure. So I'm going to say num late at departure divided by total num trips. And I'm also, whenever I always want to check in that case which had the fewest trips. I wouldn't want to include one that had like 5 trips because it would be too noisy. This doesn't look too crazy. Like everything has at least 30 trips. Okay, so I'm going to say, what is our distribution of what percentage were late at departure? I'm gonna quickly say November 2018 is this. This is our cleaned, our processed data. All right. Usually when I have this few observations, I'd set a wider bin width. I'm also kind of a fan of scale x continuous labels is percent format. I'm going to load up the scales package. Okay, so we have a wide distribution here. The peak, the mode is around 10% of trains are late, and then we have a set of trips where a larger fraction are late. All right, so that's interesting. I wonder what these have in common. We definitely see there's service count service. Okay, for November 2018, we don't have national versus international. That's odd. I didn't know what that I don't know why that would be. Departure station sort equals true. Okay, so we have, this might be a time for lumping. A lot of these routes, come from two stations, Lyon and Montpart. I'm not going to try and pronounce French on this screencast. All right, so I probably want to say, I'm curious, like, are ones out of Lyon more delayed than average or less delayed than average? So I could do a box plot from that. If I did a box plot on this data, I need to do mutate departure station is FCT lump. We use lump a lot in these. I would say I want only the categories to be other, the top, let's say 3 and other. And instead of a histogram, I'm going to do a box plot. I'm going to say geom box plot and do scale y continuous. Okay, aha, man, that was a really, there's a station, Lyon Part 2, where this much was late, where like, there wasn't a single route that was less than 75% delayed. That's interesting. I mixed up something also with my FCT lump. I said n, the least frequent levels. A positive n preserves the most common n values. Oh, if there are ties, you'll get at least absolute. You get at least this many. So because I said the 3 most common, but there's a tie for 3rd, 4th, 5th, I got all the 5 most common, which is good because I think this is interesting. What it shows is, here is a station that was almost always late. Here are a few stations that were generally 10% or so were late, and then other stations are really all over the place. But other stations have only one route. Okay, so what is up with Lyon Part 2? Let's see. If I said departure station, I'm also deciding at this point whether in my cleaning step I should say departure station is string to title. I don't love all caps in a graph, so I sometimes like to here's what I could say. To me that looks better. All right, and then I could say departure station is Lyon Part 2. All right, and Lyon, not a lot of trains were canceled. Not a huge fraction, but a majority of them, wherever you were going from this station, a majority of your trains were late. That's interesting. This actually reminds me, though, you've got departures and you've got arrivals. And this tells me, I haven't looked at this data before, but I saw in this description, there's a heat map. I think I have a guess what the heat map is. It's a good idea for a graph. This is what the original person, Matilda, who curated this data, did a plot. I'm not going to look at it since I'm interested in seeing what I come up with myself, but I have a guess of what the heat map is going to be. So if we look at one particular graph, this is also probably going to turn into a GG animation. Because what we can do is say, here's departure, here's arrival. I'm going to add, I'm going to clean our arrival station too. So I'll say departure. Arrival on the x-axis is good because people tend to read the x-axis first. People tend to read the y-axis first. So I can do a geom tile and say fill equals PCT late at departure. Okay, so we're going to need to do some reordering here. Most of the routes don't exist. Let's see. I also I feel like there's way too many observations that only have one route. I'm going to start by reordering it, but what I'm going to start by doing is saying arrival station is reorder arrival station by well, I'm going to do it by length. This is a little funny. What I say is if I want to say I want the most common items first, I need to give it a vector to compare over, and then the function length. So this actually, this is I want to rearrange by the length of this same vector. So now what we see is, boy, that looks terrible. I'm going to have to rotate. So while I'm at it, I neglected to say theme. I have to do axis text. X is element text. Angle is 90. And horizontal adjustment. So this lets me, now at least I can read these items. So what I did is I reordered it so that the most common one, Paris Lyon, is rightmost. I might want it to be on the other side. So just understand, I could have actually put any variable here. It says reorder this factor based on this aggregation of this vector. I just needed for it to be the reorder by frequency. Aha, I just remembered. Great, I just remembered now. There is an FCT in freak. I completely forgot about that function, but that will do the same thing. Ooh, and it puts in descending by default. Oh, I like that. Way better. Okay. And, I'm going to do it in both directions. That means the x-axis is not necessarily the same as in the y. FCT and freak. I love it. That's why it exists. Ignore that length trick I was trying earlier. Okay, so now I can see the put arrival station. So I can say, you're never going to have a train go to itself, as you'd imagine. But I also would say I want to skip all the stations that only have one stop. They're just not that, just not that much data there. I'm going to, let me see. I'm going to say, how many observations are there? There are 130. I'm going to say if you're not at least 1%, that is, you have at least 2 observations in here lumped together. So I'm going to say FCT lump this with at least prop percentage 0.01. So other is going to go first. Other is the most frequent. Okay, so this is all stations that have at least 2 stops. I'm going to label this up. There's a few steps of polishing we're going to have to go through. One is I want to fix the labels. I need to fix that. Arrival station. Y is departure station. What I'm trying to do here is get a sense for what stations are the latest. We actually can now see Lyon is very late for everything that leaves from it. Lyon part 2 is late for everything that leaves from it. But it's actually, there are a lot more we need to do to make this really communicate the information we want. Color is percentage late at departure. I want a different fill. I want gradient 2. And low is blue. High is red. Red is bad, meaning delays. The midpoint should be, I don't know, 0.25. I'm not sure. Let's find out. Yeah, this I think gets a little more across. Wow, it's always late. I also can say labels are percent format. I'm still iterating on this graph. I think the gray background is ending up a little annoying. So I'm gonna say theme. What did I say? Say theme set, theme light. I'm gonna start with that. I'm a big fan of theme light. Do I like these lines, these grid lines? I'm not completely crazy about them, but they do help aesthetically, but they absolutely help, say, oh, I see this station is going to match up to this one, to this data point. So I think it's not too crazy. Okay. So this gives us a sense of like, here are some stations that, well, you're always late on. Oh yeah, you're always late in departure from each of these. From like this station has 2 arrival stations, and it's usually late. Okay, and one thing that's strange to me is, no, there's no other. Okay, what actually that tells me that there's no other meets other, is that there's no pair of stations that occurs only once that never has any trains going anywhere else. Some of the stations only have one arrival or one departure, but none would no pair has only is by itself. Okay, so that helps a little, because other to other wouldn't be very meaningful. But this says Lyon Part 2, wherever you go. Oh, Lyon Part 2 never goes to an other station. These are the. Are those the 5 places it goes? Is that right that it should have 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I didn't just miscount it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It goes to 6 places. From other, as we've seen before, there's a variety depending on where you're coming from, where you're going. Oh, it just hit me. Other, there's many data points here. Okay, yeah. Here's what occurred to me. If we look at our other to Paris-Lyon in this aggregated data, if I say departure station is other, arrival station is Paris-Lyon, we get a whole bunch of observations, and that's a mistake because not a mistake, but we only see one of those observations on this graph. So we either have to remove other, or my preference, let's aggregate it. What I'd say is group by arrival station and departure station. Summarize. What is it? It's PCT related departure, and we actually need a weighted average here. Or actually, I can do it as sum num late at departure divided by sum total num trips. And that'll actually get me there. And I can say, okay, so now each of these are averaged. And now we can see of all the things leaving from another station, they tend to hover around half the trips being delayed. Okay, a little bit clearer. Oops, I should say, oh, I said color down here. I meant fill. Other than that, it's also useful to say which routes have the most delayed trains, and throw in a subtitle of for all pairs of arrival departing stations that have at least 2 routes. No, for all, nope, that's wrong. Arrival and departure stations that have at least 2 routes. Oh man, that is not a clear subtitle. Let me workshop that a second. I have to say, I'm thinking about how to communicate this. Stations with only 1 arriving, departing route were lumped into other. Okay, that's not so bad. All right, it's a good start, and yeah, we get a sense now of arriving and departing stations. Okay, this is one visualization we could take out of it. We'd know some are more delayed than others. It also occurs to me, reordering by the number of stations. I'm no longer sure that's the way to reorder them. What if I instead reorder them by how delayed they were? Because that's what I often going to try and pull out of this data anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to comment these 2 lines out. And I'll do FCT reorder. I still am doing the lumping, but I'm reordering by PCT late at departure. Remember, I defined that earlier here. And I'll say the average, whether it's late. The average level of lateness. The default is median. And that's actually a pretty good default. I kind of like that. Okay, I'm going to stick with the median. Okay, I like this graph more because what this is showing, this immediately brings people's attention to the stations with the most delays, which in fact answers the question in the title. Okay, and so we tend to see that one's arriving at Marne-la-Vallée, although this has one highly delayed, one less delayed. One's leaving from, no question, Lyon-Part-Dieu. Each of these stations have lots of delayed trains. These ones, really not a lot, no matter what the route is. Okay. All right, percentage later departure. All right, this is a pretty solid graph. I'm interested. Let's see what Matilda came up with. Ooh, theirs is way cooler than mine. Oh, it's a graph over time. I like that idea. I'm going to... I might get inspired by this. That is, steal this idea for a graph in a bit. That's a good way of showing it, highlighting particular months where one station was bad. Oh, I completely forgot to say in November 2018. Okay, I'm going to start looking at over time. Everything so far has been just this set of stations. Okay. I'm going to take November, nope, not just look at November 2018. I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it up in a processing step. Go. And that way, all right, I can just go to right away to full trains. I'm going to start with one station. I started with 1 month. Now I'm going to do one station, one route. So maybe... Well, we saw how delayed this was in November, so Lyon-Part-Dieu to... Oh, I'm going to really embarrass myself trying to pronounce French city names, so I'm just not going to. This one to this one. Departure station is... Arrival station is... Okay, and we should basically have one per month. But when do we have every one from say this one? Yep, looks so far like every month. If I view it, I can see January, December, and then 2016, 17. Yeah, 2018 it stopped tracking national versus international. That's some missing data that I think I'll have to fill forward. Assuming a route doesn't change, I probably can fix that. I'll return to that in a bit. It's not yet essential. Okay. So if I look at this set over time, I could actually visualize. I could say what was the percentage that were delayed over time. PCT late at departure. I'm going to need to make the month. Right now it's a year and a month. I need to make it a date. So, thinking through how to do that. Okay, I'm going to say, I'm going to rearrange it. I'm going to say as date sprintdef. I do percent year, percent 02m, percent. Oh wait, no wait. I might have a different approach I can do. Looper dates. No, this can't take separate arguments. Never mind. I'm going to keep doing it the way I originally thought of. Not. Yeah. It'll be give it that and year, month, and this will just be the first of each month. Looks like it worked pretty well. So this meant pad it with an extra 0. It needed to do that to interpret it as a date. So if I say month, percent late at departure, geom line, aha, scale y continuous, labels are percent format. And usually in a graph like this, I want to have the y-axis go all the way down to 0. All right, so we see generally over time, trains have got this route, I should say, has gotten later and later. There was a few months where they got their act together, and then it got late again, and wow, look at that trend. Isn't that something? Okay, I could do that I'm doing that for one station. What other stations could I look? What other routes could I look at? How about the other ones that are really late in November 2018? So here's one. Here's let's see. I need to zoom in to get a better view of this. Lille. I'm not sure. I don't need to say it aloud. I can just visualize it. That's interesting. It looks like it's actually got a kind of a similar path, quite a similar one, which tells me I don't want to filter for one arrival station. I want to color by it. There we go. There's our 5 paths. What we can see is in general these are correlated. They all went up in the first couple months of 2018, then back down in the next few months. So imagine there's things in common that are trends in common that are occurring across these. That gives me an interesting idea. I may want to do principal component analysis on this data, and not quite yet. I want a few more visualizations, but it's something that's going to be interesting. So we can see. Yes, here you go. And that's one departure. What's one, I should say, departure station. What's another departure station with an interesting profile? Well, I look back at my November 2018 heat map. Others probably worth skipping. Strasbourg as a departure station. Lille as this one as a departure station has 3 routes. Going 3 places, and they have rather different profiles. So I'm going to take a look at that one as well. I also am going to move my month processing step up into the processing, because that way I can say, here it is, and all right, that works. And if I throw in another one, I say departure station is Lille. One. So what's interesting here is that there's a divergence. Wow, this had the same shape, up, down, up, that the other station did. I'm going to be taking a look at that. Okay, but one thing this shows is there's a divergence in the last couple, near the end of 2018, where it used to be they were pretty similar, though the ones going into Lyon Port-Dieu were the most arrived late at departure. It's a little odd that we even have any difference at all, but interesting. So what I was wondering now is those two had similar shapes. I'm going to throw one more in. We're not going to be doing copy pasting every single graph we do, but I am going to be curious. Let me see. I just want to see a third example before we generalize. Nantes. I have no idea how. Again, I have no idea how it's pronounced. Yeah, we do see a spike early 2018. Dip, spike. Okay. All right. What this is suggesting to me is I want to do some aggregation. I want to say, rather than filtering for one departure station and looking at each route, I mean, this is the percentage that are late at departure, so it's interesting that it depends on the route as much as it does. Now, the route could be at different times of day. But I do want to say, like, in general, I'd group by departure station and by, let's say, departure station and month. And I'm going to summarize and say, num trips total. Is that the way to do it? Oops. What is it? It's total num trips. and also the num late at departure. I'm going to summarize at those two vars. In fact, really any that contains the word num, I can summarize at that. So summarize our at lets me say for all of these, sum them up. That's pretty cool. Then I get total number of trips and all of these, and I can recalculate my percentage late at departure. That I can really just copy paste this here. I need to recalculate it because you can't aggregate it quite the same way. It would need to be a weighted mean, and that's not as useful. So I do summarize at, mutate. Okay. Now I no longer have a rival station. Not worried about that. And I also realize I'm going to need to FCT lump. I'll say lump for all those that have, is it PC? Remember now, oh, it's prop 0.01. And now I can plot month percentage late at departure with geom line. Oop, and I need color is departure station. There's going to be a few too many lines here. Yeah, like I said, too many lines. I'm going to do the lumping a little more aggressively and say n equals, you need, I want to include, I'm going to try saying you need at least 2%. Wonder how much more that lump set. It's better. It's not so much better, but it's better. Okay. Wonder if I made it need at least 3%, 4%. These are the only stations. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go back to 2%. There's a lot of lines here. And do we see trends? Well, I see. It's hard to see a trend back here. Definitely a big gap between Leon Pardieu and the rest of them. But then they all spike, all dip, all spike. Many of them are flattening out. Some of them are decreasing. Some, like this one, are flat. This one goes back up. I also probably want to, after the summary, do a reorder. So say FCT reorder. I like to say departure station by PCT late at departure and do it on the last one, which will reorder it on group. I need to do it after the mutates. Okay. And yeah, so this lets me put, oh, I need it backwards. It's a whole thing. I have to just put a minus sign here to flip it so that these match up now 1-to-1. It's easy to tell, at least much easier than it used to be. This matches up to this, and Paris S matches up to this one, and so on. Leon Pardieu is always late. Look at that. All right. And finally, I'm going to do a tiny bit of cleaning and say labels are percent format. Also, month, percentage late at departure. I don't like leaving underscores on a graph. All right, so what we're seeing here is there's a shared trend in 2018. And that's definitely an interesting thing to find out. Okay, let's make a heat map over time. So we've got full trains. And I'm going to say month on the x-axis, and no, I'll need to do an aggregation first. Oh, this is a good aggregation. Okay, so I'm going to say by departure station month, is what I'm going to call this object. And this will aggregate by, we already have it aggregated by month, and that will let me say by departure station month, PCT late at departure, geom fill is this, departure station, oops, I'm backwards, I want departure station on the x-axis. Okay, And I like my earlier gradient. I'm going to try that gradient again. Labs fill equals. Look at me, I mixed it up. No, the month goes on the x-axis. Here we go. Do I still want to lump so much? I don't think I do. Wow, look at this. Look at that. Look at that one. I don't think I want to lump by as many things into other as I currently do. Yeah. So what is it currently ordered by? That's still alphabetical? Oh, right. I didn't reorder by anything. Going to be a bit more aggressive here. This line plot's going to get a bit worse. But that's okay. I'm not using this line plot for very much. It's way too messy a line plot. But actually, this is a good example of. I really appreciate Matilda's example here. Yeah, I really like that example because it is a really good idea to show this kind of heat map for changes over time. Yeah, there's everything that has at least one route out. Okay. I'm going to try it without lumping. I'm going to keep the other one there. I'm probably going to remove it later. I'm going to try just grouping by departure station and then do a mutate. Departure station is FCT reorder departure station by what percentage are late. It'll use the median. It's not crazy. Yeah. Okay, so what we can see here is now we have our latest ones up here. Okay, and we do have spikes. I wonder if 25% is the right midpoint. I wonder if I try a 20% midpoint. I certainly shouldn't change one but not others. Just wondering, are there other spikes that we're losing in this data? Not really. I'm going to keep it at 25%. Okay, so it's like, for a long time, not a lot of things were delayed, and then a lot of stations all started getting delayed in 2018. Why is there other? Where did the? I didn't think I was doing any lumping. Oh, there it is. Here we are. Yes. Yes. Okay. This is a bit This gets a more full heat map. Some of these have only one route. That's okay because only one arrival station that matches them. That's okay because we're looking at percentage departure. It probably has some impact on it, but not a huge amount. Okay, so what I'm looking at here, we have a couple that just have one bad month. That's interesting to see for sure. And then we have our consistently late stations. Frankfurt was another one that was late, and then no, for a bit it wasn't, and then it was late again. So we see the spike. We see many stations had a spike. I wonder, as soon as I see that, are they all going the same place? Is that the reason that many of them were late? Frankfurt, let me see. Oh, are those international? Yeah, I'm guessing so. I think these are German cities. Is this Italy? Zurich is in Switzerland. Geneva. I don't know where this is. But many of them appear to be international. Oh, so that tells me maybe I want to separate my international and my national. Okay, I'm going to, because maybe there's a different trend there. Okay. And this reminds me then that first of all, when I group by departure station and month, I need to throw in service. But it also tells me I need to go back to my clean data. If we take a look at this, reminder that there's a bunch of missing data in 2018. See it? Can't see it yet. Here, all the 2018 data is missing. So this is telling me is I need to fill missing values forward. I'm just quickly reminding myself whether it respects groups. It doesn't respect groups, at least it doesn't mention, so that's okay. What it means is I need to arrange by departure and arrival station, but then also month, and then I can fill forward. I need to fill just, it's probably variable names, service. So now we're going to see, so this one is national, national, national. It's going to keep being national in 2018. That's data we didn't used to have there. This is the assumption that that's just some missing data. That it's not like anything changed from being national to international between 2017 and 2018. So that fills in that missing data. Now I can do my group by with service. And now I can say a few ways to do this. I'm going to start just with service is international. Let's see, what does that look like? That's cool. It actually does show all 5 of these. Bang, 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 bang. All are clearly international. And then, so in all these, so for whatever reason, there was a big delay in departures that were going internationally. I guess Paris-Lyon also had some international journeys. Wait, these are ones going into France, because each of these are outside of France. I didn't have that. Was this the month of the terrorism attack? I can't remember. France Stadium attack. No. This was 1 year after. So that doesn't line up. It was, I couldn't remember whether it was 2015 or 2016. It was 2015. It wasn't a stadium. Was it as a, or it was a, but okay. So what was in? I'm gonna test my hypothesis. Let's see. Let's pick one of these. It's already ordered. I remind myself, is it November or December? It can be hard to tell on a graph. Where was the one with the sudden spike in delay in late at departure? It was this one. December 2016. All right, could easily have been a snowstorm, could have been an emergency, could have been something, but it looks like suddenly everything was late for a month. Isn't that something? There's probably comments that go with it, but they're going to be in French, so I'm not gonna be able to understand them anyway. I could still take a look if we say, look at our original data with Service International. Original, I mean not aggregated. And filter for a month is 2016 1201. I added this column. They're always late at departure, at least for ones like, for these stations. They're late, like Frankfurt and Geneva. Okay, and do I have a comment? I do not have a comment. I do not see a comment for that column. Okay, so I don't know why it happened. All right, but that was international. And then if I look at national separately, whenever you get this non-final location area, just to rerun it, it's an RStudio thing. Yeah, now I see more similar blocks. Now, isn't this interesting? This one ends up all the way here, but it has a couple of delays in mid-2018. All right, so this is a good, this is a solid way to visualize the data. I wonder, but I would like to separate national and international. I could facet it. I'm not completely crazy about this approach. I'll show you why. I could facet and say, I want only one column, and say I want faceted by service. The problem this runs into is that, scales equals free. Is look at how squeezed this data is compared to this data. Like, it does separate. It shows me both the graphs at once. But I really want to, I want to show both, and I want one to have a lot more space than the other. I want I want to compress this facet. Cowplot is a package that would let me do. Actually, I think patchwork is usually the way we would do this. Is we would say we could specify how tall we want this one and this one. I'm not going to. Let me see. I have one other idea. I'm not going to bother with getting the two plots to be similar to change the shape of the plots. But I have one other idea. What I'm going to try is I want to add international or national onto each of these. So I'm going to here I'm grouping by departure station, but I'm going to group by a combination of. I'm actually going to use the glue package. I don't need glue for this. Glue is a more advanced version of paste, but this is pretty. This one is simple enough. I'm going to say paste 0, combine the departure station with the service. Oops. I do not need to facet by service anymore. Okay, so first it's like you got your nationals, you got your internationals. It doesn't look great yet. I would need to change how we reorder these. I want to put the nationals and the international first. The national first and the international. Oh, it just hit me. It's going to be a little harder than I thought. This is a bit of a hack. What I'm actually going to do is say, I'm going to throw in service as a grouping variable anyway. When I do the reorder, I'm going to say service equals international plus this. That's an interesting hack. What I'm saying is, when service is international, I want to add 1 to the number. Why would I do that? Oh, this is around here. 1 because true is interpreted as 1. Because it stacks all the internationals at the top of the graph, which I'm pretty into. And now that I'm looking at it, no, I really want to strip off the national versus international. I need to separate it because some like Lyon are going to occur in both. Here's Lyon national, here's international. But I want to do something a bit different. I want to say, let me see. I want to strip this off when it's actually visualized. So I'm going to say is scale y discrete labels equals, and I'm going to give it a function. I'm going to say string remove anything after a dash. Oh, string remove from X. I just added something that does some post-processing on these labels. So this actually separates out our international and our national. The one downside is it doesn't make that clear in the visualization. The other thing I could have done. Yeah, maybe this is the way to do it, and it's a little bit less hacky. Is I can say if else service equals international, then do paste international and put it in parentheses. Otherwise, just service. Just departure station. And this is a way we can say I still need this. I don't need this. Okay. There are a few approaches. This at least lets us say, like, here are all of our internationals, and it becomes clear what is international and what isn't, and why it was shuffled to the top. Okay, and I'm gonna clean this otherwise a bit and say month. Departure station. Title is delays over time. Subtitle ordered international routes, I'm going to put them on the bottom. Let me see, ordered, I want to explain the subtitle a bit better. I might say ordered by the median delay. I don't like median because it's average within a month, so I'm going to go ahead and FCT reorder as add a third argument to that and say mean. Why not? Ordered by the average delay with international routes on the bottom. Why do I do it that way? I kind of like the internationals down here a bit more, and it becomes clear. Here's all our domestic ones, or ones within France, and here's the internationals. What's interesting is I could probably just have listed just the international. Like, these are ones that are going internationally, like from Paris to other countries. These are ones that are coming in from other countries. There's a clear difference. Yeah, for a bit it was just very hard. It was everything coming into France was delayed in December. That makes it pretty clear. I didn't look too closely at the heat map. Did it separate national from international? No, it did. It looks like Matilda's did not. I'm just looking through this moment. Yeah, that's why we see them across these. Did separate years, which I like. I don't know how to do this. That's a cool effect. Because what I like about this effect, I haven't. Oh, here, there, it's better. Oh, I see it. It's months within each. That's pretty cool. Oh, I think it's a facet. I didn't realize that until I look at this now, but that's a facet. And I also like the blue to yellow to red. Or like teal to yellow to red. I'm going with a really kind of blowing blue to red. That honestly is probably not colorblind to say. I should really have taken another look at that. I like this effect. I'm going to show how to do it. Again, this was Matilda's idea 100%. So she gets credit. I just want to show, but I'm going to show how we'd get that effect separating out years. What I do is instead of dividing into months, I'm going to call that column date instead of calling it month. And then I'll have to change when I use. Here I'd have to say, oh, that would have been broken if I reran it recently. And then whenever I say month, that one's fine. That one's fine. This one, oops. I need to rerun by departure station month. Okay, this one's not so bad. So I was able to redo it. Here I would say date, but instead I'm gonna divide into years and months. And now I've got my year and my month. And the other thing I'm going to do is say, is there a vector of months? Nope. Is there a vector of, I just want month, oh, there it is, month name. That's what I was looking for. Month equals month name of index by month. And look at this. Now I've got my April 2015 and everything. That's pretty good. This also needs to be an ordered factor, otherwise it's going to be a really funny order. So I'm going to say FCT reorder this by month. That way it's going to keep. I could have also set the levels to be month. Either would work. And now if I say month, it's like January, February, March, etc. Okay. And finally, what I would do here, it would be, so that was the steps I went through again because I'm interested in reproducing this. I like the effect of separating the years. So what I do is say divide by month, divide by year. It's still a facet wrap. N row equals 1. Yeah. And I'm going to then need to rotate. I did this earlier in the, I'd say, theme axis text X. I need to rotate my, my X labels so the months are apparent. Yeah, I really like. I'm glad I saw that inspiration from Matilda because I really like how it separates December of one year and January of the next. Okay, so this would be my variation. Now that we have so much data, we definitely do not need grid lines. I'm going to go ahead and say panel.grid, I believe it's panel grid element blank. There it is. Okay. I wish there was some separation difference between the problem is this looks like it's, I'd rather have the background be gray than have it be white. I also know I do not want those little dashes. I'm trying to remember how to remove those. I've time before I'm going to remember. I forgot how to remove these little ticks. Oh, maybe I can just say, I don't just want to remove the ticks. I want to remove the, no, I think I might, just removing the ticks might be enough. I can say axis ticks. Let me see, axis ticks, element blank. Does look a little better. I still have that extra room there. I don't know. I don't remember how to get rid of that. That's worth noting. Okay. And I'm also going to, we don't have December, so I'm going to go ahead and say in the facet wrap, I'm going to say scales equals free just X, because that way, here, November's missing. December's missing and therefore not, and doesn't pop up there. It does make these a bit wider, which is a little bit distracting, but it's not so bad. All right, so that was my variation of the heat map. Again, I took loads of inspiration from this original one. So normally in these screencasts, I don't always say, here's a graph, let's remake it. But in this case, we took some inspiration. One thing I like that I did separately was separating out the internationals, which makes it clear how these cluster together. So this was which stations had delays in which months. Yeah, I really wonder about the December 20. If I say December 2016 France train delay, international, launches this compensation scheme at the end of November. I don't see why that would be related. All right, I can't see like a news article or something that would tell me why these 5 stations were suddenly very delayed getting into France, coming into France in December 2016. Okay. Still, that wraps up. It's amazing, actually. I really just looked at one column, percentage related departure. I didn't look at the average delay. I didn't look at anything else. But there's so much you can learn out of just one column. Oops, didn't mean to close it. So let's review what we looked at. First, I looked just at November 2018. This chunk of code still work? Yeah. I looked just at 2018. I said, look by arrival and departing station. I tried a heat map of those. And we saw that Lyon Pardue is not one you want to be leaving from in November 2018. We then looked over time. First is a line plot, which had a few too many lines on it. We saw that some were worse, but there also were some shared general trends. And then we went a little bit farther, and we said, let's look at all the trains, but instead of looking at them in a line plot, let's look at them in a heat map, which really lets us focus more on the on the anomalies, and also see that, yeah, there is a shared trend across about half the departure stations. We don't know that it means there was more delays. It could mean they changed their system for recording delays. The fact that it's so abrupt between 2017 and 28 and January 2018 does make me a bit suspicious of the data. That also the fact that they had different service. We noticed that there was some missing data in 2018 that wasn't missing elsewhere. Maybe that means they come from two different sources, have different record systems. There's a lot of ways this could have been separated. But overall, this shows all the kinds of plots and things you can learn from just one column in a rather rich data set. So I hope you enjoy the screencast. I hope you take a look at some of the other columns that are in the trained data set if you're interested in exploring them using similar methods. And I'll see you next week.